Welcome back to my channel, Fazbear's Menagerie of Madness, where I'll explore the universe of Five Nights at Freddy's and I hope in a new and unique interpretation of events. As it has been requested in my previous videos, I'll be trying something new by recording with a microphone rather than using a speech generator. So in this episode, I'll be explaining who I think the Tangle is. First seen in the game Security Breach, the Tangle appears as an amalgamation of parts of former animatronics. It can be found lurking around the basement of the Pizzaplex near the site of the former Fazbear restaurant, where the events of Pizzeria Simulator took place. The Tangle does not seem to be controlled by anyone, so is likely haunted by someone. First seen in the finale of Security Breach, the Tangle had managed to capture Burntrap during the escape of Freddy and Gregory. Later on, while exploring the collapsed Pizzaplex, Cassie catches a brief look herself. As the Tangle exists in the Pizzaplex, then we may think that it had arrived in a similar way to the other animatronics. Although, as we know, the other animatronics arrived following their time at a company responsible for uploading their programs from the older animatronics. Tangle was also not built off the new endoskeletons. It had likely pulled itself together using abandoned parts from the fire, with no connection to any Fazbear business. As Michael Afton was one of the only people kept alive from Remnant following the fire, his future had led me to suspect him as the Tangle. When we look at Michael Afton's situation after the fire, many have speculated he went on to haunt Glamrock Freddy, although we should realise that he couldn't have gone through the same process as the others. He had no endoskeleton, no circuit boards. Therefore, he could not have been plugged in. So if Michael had survived the fire, he could not take the same form. He would take whatever form he could to survive. Dwelling in the basement, the Tangle had managed to avoid contact with many of the staff. In turn, I think the staff took every effort to avoid contact with it. A note labelled, "It's drawn to sound," appears to be written by the staff at the Pizzaplex. As staff bots wouldn't write this, then it's likely to have been written by the human staff members prior to their mass firing. We get a clue of that from the Tales from the Pizzaplex story, The Storyteller. From the story, we learn that the board members who run the Pizzaplex are very aware of the cost of the staff. During the story, the arts department was replaced by the AI for cost reasons. The changing of staff to animatronics is a big cost saving for the company. This seems a more reasonable explanation to disposing of staff. Regarding the note again, as the restaurant is usually a loud place, we would have expected to have heard of such an event needing a staff warning. I think it's more likely the note is warning about events in the sub-basement levels, where staff could go but customers could not, although I do think someone was aware of the Tangle.
Now I will tell you a story about a mother and her little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because it could never get out. Then she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep. One day, the monster stopped growling and instead listened and learned the lullaby. The next day when Mother went out to find food, the monster sang the lullaby from the basement. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door.
Candy Cadet's stories are just a mystery to most. Once I heard about the "It's Drawn to Sound" note, I started to realise that one of Candy Cadet's stories applied to Gregory, Vanny and Tangle. In previous videos, I have discussed my thoughts on Gregory being the modern recreation of the Crying Child, rebuilt from parts currently available, even dressed in similar clothes. I've also mentioned that Vanny is likely Elizabeth Afton controlling the body of Tape Girl from the first Help Wanted game. With the inclusion of Michael as the Tangle, I think Candy Cadet is talking about the events of the Post-it note room located in the sub-basement. If I think of Gregory as the little boy in the story, Vanny as the mother, and Tangle as the monster, then the story makes more sense to me. Remember that from Candy Cadet's point of view, Vanny is an adult woman, therefore casting her as the mother would seem a more likely character description. We can think of the sub-basement as the dark woods and the post-it note room as the cabin. The line, "the monster always made scary noises," could be Michael expressing his pain and agony for his past mistakes. The line, "the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement," could be the explanation of Elizabeth trapping Michael somewhere he couldn't escape. She would still need to be able to bring him back. The last 2 times Elizabeth had encountered Michael was during Sister Location, then again in Pizzeria Simulator. Her actions during Sister Location had left him a walking corpse. Then there's a line, "she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep." There has been no hint that the crying child's mother sang him a lullaby, while not impossible, would add a new dynamic to the Afton family. If we assume it to be true, then all the Afton children would know the same lullaby, something a mother would share with her children. And then there's "the monster sang the lullaby. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door." This could explain that Gregory was the one who set the Tangle free. Elizabeth had lost control of Michael, who in turn would be the reason Gregory had escaped and roamed the Pizzaplex. Therefore, we could say that Candy Cadet's story is telling us what had happened between Vanny, Gregory and Tangle, or Elizabeth, Evan and Michael. This would also tell us that Michael is still able to remember the lullaby his mother sang when he was young. Thanks for staying with me till the end, and subscribe for future content.